the front, so like, what time frame have you considered? How do you feel about? And you can put anything after those. Yeah, so the beginning of the sentence, the structure allows you to say anything.
I was about to just make up something.
Make it up.
Because I just read it.
Yeah, just make up anything that goes with the conversation. All right, guys, we got 20 seconds. All right, and wrap. All right, guys. I want everybody to know. Come back to me. Come back. Come back. Come back. So I need you guys to know this is actually a really great thing. Because if you guys haven't been improving, I think if you remember class 1, it was crickets at the end of this exercise, right? Because everybody was like, thank God my 5 minutes is up. Because this is torture, right? We don't typically talk like this. Did anybody find that it's easier now after 3 skill plays, kind of walking through this?
I mean, so yes and no.
Okay.
Because I still wanted to respond. And something she was saying, I wanted to, it wasn't necessarily empathy, but it was like, I'm like, oh yeah, I understand, but, and I wanted to kind of encourage. But I was like, okay, stop.
Yeah. So that empathy, take it and just tweak it to how does that make you feel? Or when you experienced that, what was the feeling like?
But I wasn't supposed to be talking.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you weren't asking the question. Yeah. Well, yeah. Are you asking the question or are you responding? It's all right. Okay, you two need to be, like, you two would be fun to like go out and drink beer with. I could see this. Like, you guys are having a blast over here.
We just got a one-on-one schedule.
There you go.
I was asking, but
Bless you.
But I didn't want to interrupt her.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, she was still talking, and I wanted to say something.
So it's almost like you had another question in the holster, and you could have asked it, but it was more of a value in the moment to allow the other person to continue speaking.
Yes.
That is a great insight. Did anybody else experience that?
Yeah. I even said something. I was like, wait, am I supposed to be saying something? Wait a minute, hold on. But it's keeping away from talking about myself. That's, I can say and respond and agree and, talk with them. But yeah, and not trying to keep yourself from going to that next question,
Immediately?
Finish their thoughts.
Like rocket fire? Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
2 ears, 1 mouth, shut it up.
Well, we teach our kids that, right?
Yes.
It never works.
No.
Well, this is not how normal people talk. So think about this. You guys just went on a professional date. When you do one-to-ones, that's what it is. You're professionally dating. And you can find all the similarities that you're excited to share and talk about, like, oh, I know that guy too, or I grew up in that area, I went to that high school. And the I statements you can bring back. Just remember them. Just put it back there. And then just later on in conversation, bringing it up every 5 or 10 minutes. So that similarity feels more real, like you discovered it about them. You're using those similarity points along the conversation so you don't front load the conversation with them. It gives you momentum all the way through. I encourage everyone to try this at home with a spouse. It's hard. Here's one thing you can do when you go to dinner. Put everybody's phone in the middle of the table. And the first person to reach for their phone has to pay the bill. You will always be the last because you know how to ask questions. It's fun. You will be in control of the entire table because you can ask questions. Because no one else can talk that long. Or think of how to control the conversation. So I read blogs. I'll give you that slide if you want it, Vonda. I read blogs and I study evolutionary psych, and one of the folks who writes about evolutionary psych writes a human sexuality and evolutionary psychology newsletter on Substack. It is not safe for work, okay? But this is one of this actually, she just sent this out on Monday, and I read it and I thought, God, this fits so perfectly with our class. So she's going out, she's dating, and I'm going to just kind of read it out loud. So someone recommends a guy, says he's perfect for you, he's successful, and I sit down for dinner. He's a little older and shorter than me, but I don't mind. I watch him carefully. He tells me about his life. I imagine what it's like to be him. Part of my brain is running a lo-fi model of his emotions, and it lights up with curiosity when the model runs into a place that can't be predicted. How many of us are trying to understand the other person when we sit down across from them? We're trying to understand their emotions. We're going to talk a lot about emotions today. Wait, you just said that you got fired and then moved countries. Do you think if you hadn't had such a sudden impetus, you would have moved at all? What a great open-ended question, right? That she's asking of him. Do you think it would have eventually snuck up on you anyway? He answers smoothly, comfortably, like he's relaxing into a great armchair. I've dusted off and wheeled over to him. I couldn't imagine describing this any more accurately of what we do when we make someone comfortable. And we do that through questions. He partially answers the questions in the first 20 seconds and then continues to talk for another 4 minutes. How many of our answers kind of droned on? Yeah, it's because it's our normal. That is our normal state. I want to understand him fast. I'm paying close attention, looking for novel words to toss at him. Feels playful for me, like wrestling or like leaning into tension. I want to see the green under his bark, the places where he's unpracticed. I slip in fast, arrowhead questions, one that carry intensity and exploration. Are you smarter than your coworkers? When your ex broke up with you, did you deserve it? When your mom died, did you feel bad about it? Are those some great open-ended questions? Right? He answers all of these with surprise, like a child riding on the back of my hay wagon. Why? Because she's leading the conversation. She's in charge. I'm a bit sad that he seemed surprised. I would have felt safer if he seemed at home among awkward questions. As the time passes, so that's a lack of confidence he's displaying. As the time passes, it becomes rapidly clear he's not paying any attention to me. If you're always on the other end of the conversation, you don't feel, like you're being paid attention to. So if it's all I, me, this is not going to be a great engagement for anybody. I eventually realized with growing disappointment that he isn't asking any questions at all, but I figure if I want something from the conversation, him to know about me, I shouldn't sulk and be mad that he's not giving it to me. I shouldn't just expect him to read my mind. I should be an adult and reach for what I want. So after he finishes talking, I try to volunteer information, to force myself to ramble a bit. I tell him about my own biggest life change. When I was 19, went to Idaho and went by myself to Australia. It was really scary. He didn't even know how to respond because he's only used to making statements. So the guy says, she says, I'm vaguely uncomfortable talking about this because I'm aware he didn't ask me and I'm not sure he wants to know, but I say it anyway. When I'm done, he replies by telling me he went to Australia once. I went to Australia. He tells me about the fight he had with his co-founder during a surfing trip and how you should always make sure you choose your co-founders well. Date didn't go on, right? Has any females in here ever experienced a date like this? Yeah, seems pretty common. 45% of men under 35 have never even approached a woman. They don't know how to talk to a woman. That's why online dating and Tinder and all these things work, because they don't have social skills. We're raising a generation of kids without social skills. I like him.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and it's terrifying for women too, because it means the dating pool of eligible men who have even a semblance of confidence and communication skills is really small. So, my bad. Let's see here. Okay, so this is one other scenario. I like him, he's funny, but after many minutes, I noticed that much like the last date, he's asked me no questions. I imagine the gears in his factory meant for active listening or actively searching to fill in the gaps of models of other people are rusted and covered in cobwebs. He has no mechanisms that work to ask questions and seek to understand somebody else. I'm sad about this pattern. I don't know why this is happening. This time, instead of forcibly talking about myself, I just tell him I'm sad he asked me no questions. Ouch. He says, I'm sorry, it's awkward. He starts trying to deliberately insert questions. So what do you like doing for hobbies? That is a weak question, right? Like, especially when she's asking these huge questions like, you moved to Australia, tell me about that. What was it scary? All that stuff. His questions seem performative. What's that mean? Like, Performative. What would you guys, like if you were going to, how would a performative question, something that's maybe disingenuous, how would that make you feel? It's rehearsed, it's not genuine. Yeah, not really interested, but put in a position to have to ask questions now, and he doesn't know how to do it, so it's really awkward. Like he's searching for a pre-made question script, which I gave you guys just 14 seconds ago, and is reading them down like I could be swapped out with any other woman and it wouldn't change much. Do your clients feel that way? Are you tailoring your questions to your client? There's no locus of hot itching curiosity shining from behind his eyes, or at least not the one I can find here in his Uber. So what we're understanding is that, and I don't know why I was in an Uber, I forgot that part, but what we're hearing is there's no enthusiasm. The person's not truly interested, not excited to be asking these questions, not excited to discover. So if we are an order taker, we talked about that word, versus a salesperson, we can very often make people feel that way. He's unattuned. I find my physical being recoils, does not trust him. I think I want a relationship where we can sink in together, touch souls or something. I imagine if I tried to date him, I'd be a lot of work to get him to understand me. Like I'd have to force feed him myself. I'd rather have someone who's hungry for my presence. I think that very adequately surmises why questions are so important in the sales process, because it gives them an opportunity to open up and feel validated. And we have to learn the tools, which are those open-ended questions, to validate people and their concerns and why they came to you in the first place. So real quick, we're going to do a recap. What is sales? Building value. Okay? Sales is always building value. What's our goal in every sales engagement? Progression. There we go. What is an objection? Anything that's going to stop the progression? What's the most powerful emotion in sales? Empathy. And you cannot overcome objections without, we just talked about it, asking questions. You cannot overcome an objection if you do not know the root cause of the objection. And if they don't feel comfortable giving you the root cause, it's because you haven't built the relationship, probably because you didn't ask the right questions beforehand. Okay? So, thermostat or thermometer. Has anybody heard this in a business sense? Has anybody been through this? Okay. When we were talking last time, I said, hey, it's really important to be indifferent to people's objections. Okay? We take our business extremely personally. Denise, I know you do, right? If somebody gives me an objection, I have to choose the Ken Schreiner I want them to see. Okay? Your emotions, your display, how you come off, how you receive that information is performative. Remember we had fight or flight? Some sales guys, they get an objection, they want to fight, they want to start punching back, they want to try to overcome with statements and sentences. It doesn't work. Some people freeze. Some people, they're like, okay, they'll just give up. They become passive. Those are neither the right ways to do it. We want to be professional. Professional is being the thermostat in the room. We are going to set the temperature. We are not going to allow the other party to choose our emotional state. We're not going to allow them to make us feel like we should stop talking, like we shouldn't be building value anymore, like, oh, well, you know, you're right. I'm going to go on to my next one. I'm just going to go through my nose to get to my yeses, right? We talked about that in the very first class. We're the thermometer. We're setting the tone. This other person can be all over the map as far as emotion. We're going to choose to show them the emotions that are going to progress them. So we're going to talk about today, is it consequential? If someone says something to you, is it consequential and is it emotional? We want to determine those two things for our objections. So, little Billy's going to Oxford. Just a simple statement from a friend. Little Billy's going to Oxford. How do you respond to that? Congratulations. So empathy doesn't have to be a negative thing, right? We can empathize with positive things. This isn't really an objection. How could you make this person feel dejected, though? They're sharing with you one of the biggest achievements of their life. This is a brag, right? They're bragging. How do we make them feel smaller?
That's going to be inspiring.
There you go.
Or do you really want that for your whoever?
That's a good question. Did you really want that? Seems like kind of a weird one.
Really thought this through.
Across the pond, Oxford, that liberal lag? I'm just kidding. Yeah, Oxford. So if we do something like, oh, well, Billy went to Harvard. What are we, story topping, right? That's going to make them feel dejected. If we don't show emotion, you go, oh, cool. So what are we doing later? They don't feel validated. So we want to show empathy. Congratulations, that's phenomenal. How did you get Billy into Oxford? What is the process that you have done with this child over the last 20 years that got them into such a great school? Let them be themselves. Let them talk about themselves. Let them show you who they are. Here's another one. My boss is such a jerk. Is this an emotional statement? Yeah. Who has said this before? All of us. Not you. No, the Crittendens are perfect. I'm just kidding. Sean and I have said it about the same people, actually. So my boss is such a jerk. Is it emotional? Yes. Is it consequential? It's just a statement. Is it a consequential statement? Think about you come home, you're talking to your significant other, right? And you say, my boss is such a jerk. Should your spouse, significant other, should they say, yeah, you say that every night. Shut up. Right? Yeah. Or let me tell you about my day. So how would we just make this person feel good? How do we just make this person feel validated?
I agree with you.
I agree.
Ask them if they want to talk about it.
Yeah. That's a
What makes
great,
it a jerk that you feel that way?
yeah. Why? What did he do today? Because it's always a dude, typically. It's true. A lot of guys are overcompensating and overbearing in professional environments. This is consequential if you don't validate it, right? Because you're going to bed without dinner and you're sleeping in the doghouse. Okay? Here's another one. What are we going to do about Alex's grades? He's not getting into Oxford. So what are we going to do about Alex's grades? What would be a way in an interpersonal conversation to handle this one? Is this an emotional statement? If a parent doesn't, if your kid doesn't have good grades and the school called and you see a report card and you're talking to somebody, what are we going to do about Alex's grades? Is that emotional? Yeah. Is it consequential? Yeah. So how do we handle it?
Maybe we should talk to Alex.
Okay. That's a great one. What's another one? Doesn't have to be a statement. It could be a question.
Reach out to the teachers.
Yeah.
Too lazy or does he need help?
Yeah. So very often when something is emotional, we should not solve that problem immediately. Okay? So as men are always Mr. Fix-Its. Don't bring me a problem if you don't want me to try to help fix it. Have you guys heard this?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, all right. So Maria gets really mad at me because I'm like, all right, it's easy problem. I'll ground her. She's doing good. We're grounded. Phone's going away. Well, that's not what she wants.
Yeah.
That's not what people want when they give you an emotional statement. They want you to mirror their mood. They want you to make them feel validated. Can you argue with a mood?
Or we want you to discuss it with us.
Right.
And then I'm figuring out
Yes.
the answer and what's happening.
Exactly.
By us talking.
Exactly. So these are emotional statements that need validation so you can stay as a we, as a team. You can grow together in your next steps. Any of these things, if you don't validate their brag, if you don't validate the fact that they don't like their boss, if you don't validate the fact that there's a challenge in someone's life that they're bringing to you, typically in a sales role, then you're losing them. It goes from we to I. I have to handle this because we, the other person in this conversation, whoever I'm talking to, does not validate me, does not feel the same way. Most of the time we're looking for validation. We're not really looking for information. I think everybody knows the 7 steps you could probably take to improve someone's grade. Tutoring, grounding, extra work, talk to the teacher, right? They're all the same. Everybody knows it. If anybody brings you this statement, they know all the solutions. What they're looking for is emotion. So objections are emotional. We're going to talk about validating emotions today, and our response need to be measured. We need to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. So this is one of my favorite clips from Seinfeld of all time, and we're going to have a little fun with this. So any Seinfeld fans in here?
I will never understand the bathrooms in this country.
Oh, man.
The doors on the stalls do not come all the way down to the floor.
Can you guys hear this? I apologize if you can't. I don't have Angie in here. All right, I'm going to try to turn this around and project the sound towards you. I apologize. I didn't know the TV wouldn't give us sound.
Well, maybe so you can see if there's...
In this country. Why is it that the doors on the stalls do not come all the way down to the floor?
Well, maybe so you can see if there's someone in there.
What does she do?
Isn't that why we have locks on the doors?
What does she do? Is this a consequential question? He's talking about stall doors. No, we don't really have to. We can go anywhere this person wants to go because the subject is stupid. It's a dumb conversation to have. Okay, so if it's not consequential to the process, you can roll with it. Okay, so, but did she empathize? She offered a reason. That doesn't make him feel validated.
There's a backup system in case the lock is broken. See if it's taken.
A backup system? We're designing bathroom doors with our legs exposed in anticipation of the locks not working? It's not a system. That's a complete breakdown of the system.
All right.
Can we change the subject, please?
Okay. Does it matter? Is he making up stuff? Did he think about the breakdown of the human system prior to this? No, he's just emotional. He wants validation.
Why, what's wrong with the subject? This is a bad subject.
No, fine. If you want to keep talking about it, we'll talk about it.
It's not that I want to keep talking about it. I just think that the subject should resolve itself based on its own momentum.
Well, I didn't think that it had any momentum.
How am I going to do this? I'm engaged to this woman. She doesn't even like me.
All right.
Change the subject. Toilets were the subject. We don't even share the same interests.
Okay. So anytime somebody brings you an objection in a sales role and you don't make them feel validated, and we do that through asking questions and empathy, that's their internal dialogue. I don't like this person. They don't really like me. They don't have any interest in helping me. It's the same thing. Okay. Now let's see Jerry do it well.
I want your honest opinion about something.
Have I ever been less than forthright?
No, you haven't.
Okay. Question?
Maybe you have. What do I know?
Yeah, I probably have. Yeah, of course I have. What am I talking about?
Tell me what you think about this idea. Extend the doors on the toilet stalls at Yankee Stadium all the way to the floor.
Extend the doors on the toilet stalls at Yankee Stadium to the floor. Door comes down. Hide your feet. Yes. I like it. I like it a lot.
It's good, right?
Okay.
It's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic idea.
All right. You can agree with it because it doesn't matter, right? Like, he doesn't have to solve this problem. It's not one of the world's issues. It doesn't matter to him. Now, let's go to the next step, because now he's not just mad about the bathroom stalls. He's mad that he didn't get validated.
You do? Yes, I do. Well, I told it to Susan before, and she didn't like it. And not only that, this is what she said to me. Can we change the subject?
See, now that I don't care for.
Right. I mean, we're on a subject. Why does it have to be changed?
It should resolve of its own volition.
That's exactly what I said. Except I used the word momentum.
Momentum, same thing.
Same thing.
Okay. And then when he walks out, he goes, oh boy. Because he knows he just put him in a position to do something stupid, which is one of the reasons that I enjoy that clip. So his partner, Susan, did not validate him. He walked out even more mad. And the reason that we focus on the emotion of the conversation is because the other person in the engagement, how they feel about the engagement is how they feel about you. When they walk away from that engagement, if they don't feel validated, heard, important to you, like you're on their side, you guys have come together as a group to solve a problem, a painful point for me, well then, I don't like it. How the person feels in the moment when you're with them is how they will remember you. Okay? So, who knows what the word narcissism means? You guys ever heard this? No? Okay, most people wouldn't. This is taking the I out of a statement and making it a we. Okay? That's what this word is. And we is one of the most powerful words in sales ever. I don't want to talk about I I want to talk about we. We at Oasis is more powerful than I recommend as Nicole, right? You can speak of yourself as the proverbial we. The king, actually, this word was coined in the 1600s, but the king would always speak in the term we instead of I. And he was speaking about his administration, the proverbial we. You can talk about we, just even if it's you, because you are an organization. You have an LLC. An LLC is an entity that lives outside of you. We, the organization of Denise, whatever your company's called, is more important. So you always want to use the word we, and you want to do two things with it. You want to align yourself with either the company when it benefits the client, or you want to align yourself with the client when you want them to take the next step. You want to use the word we. It's really important. Or let's. We or let's. Drop the word I unless you have to make a specific recommendation. A lot of times people go, would you do it like this? I don't like those questions because I'm not them, right? But I would say something like, at that point you have to say, you can't say we at CarMax recommend it because it feels disingenuous. They're asking for your opinion. That's the only time you really want to say I. If they're not asking for your specific opinion, use the word we. So we're going to align ourselves with our clients by saying, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a next step. Let's go inside and see what your financing options are. Let's go ahead and get you to sign this non-binding, referral agreement that says you're going to call me when something happens and I need to have people ready for you. Let's go ahead and get that signed. Let's go ahead. Let's do it together. We're aligning with our people. We can achieve this result easily by doing. We can, or here's one. We're going to get into this next step as far as overcoming objections. When we started the process today, I was under the impression of X. Is that correct? What you're doing is you're restating things to them that they have told you already to reinforce the fact that you are listening to them and you're taking them to the next step. Or you can align with the company. One of the reasons we do it this way is X. We've done studies in cross-shopping. So in cars, everybody's like, well, how are you compared prices to, the other place? Right? You know this, right? Well, we secret shop. We, as a company, we want to provide you the best value. We feel like these are the highest quality vehicles for the price. And you can use our group has worked on this for. So you're aligning yourself with one or the other. You want to drop the I statements. And then you can use some power statements. Once you say we, and we're going to roll into some objection overcomes here in just a second. One of the great things about, you remember this one? This was CarMax 100 level. One of the great things about CarMax, you can literally put anything after that. One of the great things about Oasis Senior Advisors is blank. It's just like one of those word tools that we use for open-ended questions. One of the great things about, you can say anything after it. You can literally put anything. I've said things that were totally negative, and I start with that, and people go, oh, okay. It's like, because it's how you pitch it. And one of the great things about us is you might pay a higher rate, but you're getting a better car. Oh, all right. Okay, we can achieve that result by doing X. Our customers consistently love X. These are power statements. You'll really enjoy the process and working with us today. And when you leave with that beautiful new vehicle, you can say, God, Ken was the best, or something like that. And everything we've built here is centered around, and you can talk about what's important to them. The value, the personal touch, helping families through this time, making sure that you have a no-hassle, easy experience with a pressure washing company, right? So these are power statements. Take these and just use anything after them, just like the questions. Okay, so if we're going to recap, be indifferent, choose to be the thermometer, don't choose to be the thermostat. If you're going to display an emotion, choose to display an emotion that's going to help you and the client to the next part of the process. Empathy, most important emotion in sales. Ask 3 open-ended questions every time you're going to overcome an objection. Try to find 3 ways to ask a question. These are the easy ones. Tell me about what prompted you to and help me understand. And then restate preferences or guidance with we. Okay? Use the word we and use it in a power statement. And that's an easy way to understand the first 4 steps. So, Over the last 2 classes, we talked about the circle back method, the because principle, ECO, yes, feel, felt, found, Mr. Ben, and we're going to do a little bit on power statements. So, circle back method. Can you guys remember this one? Anybody remember what it is, why we do it? When we do it? Oh, I hear paper.
What are addressing an objection not in the moment, but
Coming back to it.
coming back to it 10 minutes later or whatever?
Nice, if you need to. Right, because is it emotional? Is it consequential? That'll give us time to determine whether the objection was a real objection, because we'll be able to see if it was consequential by allowing the process to kind of play out and then coming back to it. And if we make it real in the moment, we may stop the process. So listen, maybe start another conversation, change the subject, come back to it if you need to. Don't make anyone feel like they're not heard or not listened to. And the way that you're going to typically judge that is they're going to look you in the eyes when they say it. If they're looking down, if it's under their breath, don't worry about overcoming that objection yet. Because principle, it helps people skip line to get prints. Remember this? 95% of the time, it's just providing a reason for the question you're asking will help move someone to the next step. So the word because is one of the most persuasive words in the English language. ECO, empathize, clarify, and overcome. We just kind of talked about that. Yes questions. Asking 3 yes questions, we touched on it briefly. It's a great thing to incorporate into overcoming an objection structure, like feel, felt, found, Mr. Ben, make a recommendation, benefit, ease, normalize, and empower statements. So these are, let's see here, 7 ways that we've taught in this class how to overcome objections. All of them don't work all the time. You're going to have to find the right time to do it, and you're going to need to practice it. If the first time you try to use this is live during a customer engagement, it's going to be very difficult. Practice, practice, practice. Tom Brady practiced before he won all the Super Bowls, right? You want to practice when it's non-consequential, because if you don't, you're going to tongue-tie yourself, you're going to feel nervous, it's not going to feel when you use a structure, it's like wearing different clothes. It's not comfortable, so you got to use it over and over again in your personal life, and then you'll start to naturally adopt it with your clients. All right, so we're going to teach 2 more ways to overcome objections, and then we're just going to go through the flashcards that we had from the other day and finish it out. So this one is pretty advanced. However, I'm confident that you can do it. And the reason I'm confident you can do it is because the Boy Scouts of America came up with it. Okay? This is how we sell candy bars, folks. So, would you like to buy a candy bar? It's only $5. The word only, always use it. Don't say it's $5. It's only $5. Let's make it small. We're making the first ask seem small, but we're using a number, $5. If you, and you know, hey, no thank you, I'm not really interested in your candy bar. Oh, totally fine. If you don't mind, if you don't want to buy my candy bar, how about you just make a $1 donation to the Girl Scouts of America or Boy Scouts of America? Would that be okay? So what did we do? What does this process do to somebody? Think about it. I'm not going to give you the answer this time. I'm going to make y'all talk.
Puts them on the spot.
Puts them on the spot.
Kind of puts a little extra pressure in a sense of which option are you going to do? Are you going to do this or are you going to do this? So you have an option now.
Yeah. If then, if not this, then that. So it's kind of a tweak. But let's keep going. I said, hey, I'm not really interested in that candy bar. And you go, okay.
They changed it from being about the candy bar to now the Boy Scouts and support.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's one of the big ones right there. That's probably the biggest part of the whole thing. The second thing is I've given a concession. I said, hey, no problem. Just not pressuring somebody and not making somebody feel uncomfortable is a really big deal. Yeah, hey, no problem. If you won't buy the candy bar, would you at least donate $1 to the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts of America? We're asking for something smaller, so we give them something which is less pressure, not feeling awkward, validating their response. That's a gift. That is actually a reciprocal gift. Sorry, guys. Today, Junior. All right. So, if you guys remember Happy Gilmore. So we've given them a gift, and then we ask for something else. Now, here's an interesting thing. You know, they may only make $1 off of those candy bars, right? So what's the margin that they were making as the Boy Scouts of America and selling this $5 candy bar? Maybe $1, right? So you got your dollar margin, and you didn't even have to give up a candy bar. You got to keep your inventory. I encourage you to think about a larger ask and then moving it to a smaller ask. So what's the first ask is larger, and when they say no, well, if that's not right for you, could we at least do X? So let's move that through the process. We don't have to be closing with this, because this is a close. We can say, hey, completely understand you don't want to run your financing today. However, would you at least be interested to see the out-the-door number on the car? Make it just a little bit smaller and still a benefit for them, and take them to the next step in the process. If you're not interested in doing this, well, let's do this. If it's still the next step, it's the same thing. We're still spending time together going through the process, but we're doing it in a way that makes you feel less uncomfortable as a client, okay? So this is called rejection then retreat, or reciprocal concessions. I would encourage everybody to figure out your own version of this throughout your process, and maybe for a close. If you wouldn't be willing to do that, would you be willing to do this? Okay. Questions about this one? Great pickup, by the way. Most people don't pick that up, because not only are you making the amount you're asking for smaller, you're making it for a better, it's not the candy bar, now it's an organization that supports children. That's huge. Okay. So, Sean, you remember the sucker's choice? All right. Does anybody know what sucker's choice is? I'm hitting a button here, guys, I'm sorry. What's sucker's choice? Boy, this is a tough one on you guys, isn't it?
So, I guess something works out the same at the end of the day.
No, kinda, because the goal is the process, is to move the process forward, right? So typically when you're talking about price, you're gonna wanna have 3 options. You always wanna have 3 options for what you're selling. The medium is what most people will always go with. The one in the middle, so if you have a middle product, make your margin on the middle product. You should actually be charging more on the middle product than you would be on the higher, making more margin on the middle product than you would on the higher price product, okay? Because that's statistically where most of your clients are gonna go. But we start with the most expensive option, and we always sell down, okay? So a sucker's choice, what I've done today, or if I'm doing this, I say, hey, we've got 3 options for payments. So Denise, you have a process that might be expensive. We offer financing, isn't that wonderful? Yes. Would you like to learn about our financing options? Yes. Oh, wonderful. Well, then let's do this. We will go look at payments. And I'm going to provide you with 3 payments. Now, I'm not saying, and you can walk away today and not buy it. The sucker's choice is all these lead to you purchasing it. Remember, we have more choices. So if somebody says, is it X or is it Y? Well, then it's always going to be something else, because I'm not going to answer any question in the way that you phrase it to me. So who was it? Somebody in here the other day was, they were asking a closed-ended question, and then they gave 2 responses. Would it be this or could it be this? That's a sucker's choice, and that's great in closing. Okay? So we say, hey, Denise, if you'd like to finance this, it's $400 a month. We'll get it all taken care of for you. A lot of my clients, we're normalizing, choose to go with this option. So it's 5-year payments of $350 a month, or the interest rate's a little bit higher here because it kicks out for an extra year, but it's only $310 a month. Which option works best for you? Okay? On a sucker's choice, you want to ask, which option works best for you? And you want to stop talking. Do not talk. 0 speech. And sit there and just let it be uncomfortable. And just sit there and... First person to talk loses. Now, what are we listening for?
You're watching.
We're watching.
Watch your body.
The first thing that's always going to happen is they're going to turn towards the other decision maker. Right? Honey,
What are we doing?
what do you like it? Do you like the car? The first time they address you will be the only objection that they really have. So the first thing out of their mouth will be their objection. You are putting them in a position to object. That's what you want. Let them object, and then overcome the objection. And we can do feel, felt, found. We can do Mr. Ben. We can do yes questions. We can do all of the ones that we just talked about. You go right into a model, right into a system. You don't have to make this up on the fly. You just have to get good at the systems we have. So you'll have your 3 options. Start with the most expensive. The middle option should be your best margin. Which option works best for you? Well, none of the ones you presented, because that's why it's a sucker's choice. I might just want to walk away. But I'm not giving you that option with that type of a question. Then you're going to get my objection. You're going to overcome the objection. You're not going to ask. You're just going to say, so if I understand you correctly, you'd probably like to go with option 2. I'm going to assume the sale, click the button, go to the next step. Sign here. And then you take the pen. I don't have mine. You just hold it out. Just look at them. Take the pen. Have you guys ever done this? It's very difficult for somebody to not take something you're handing them. That's why, like, opening up, if you're in a networking room and you want to open up a room or you want to get into a circle of people who are clustered around talking, buy a beer, just walk up with the left hand. Hey, the bartender gave me an extra beer. You want this? Left hand, they take it. Right hand, you shake. Then you're in the room. They can't not take it. That's why, like, if you ever go to the mall and they're doing surveys and they're trying to hand out flyers, you take it and you throw it away. Well, it's because we're just tuned to take things, especially when someone gets into your space with that thing. So hand them a pen, whatever you want to do. And that's called the sucker's choice. And those are 2 closes, and then also ways to overcome objections. This one prompts for the objection. That's why this is probably the most advanced one I'm going to teach in the class, because this one teaches you to get the objection up front so you can get it out of the way and move through the process. So questions, comments, concerns. Where are we at? Hello? Anything? Anybody? I did that good?
I'll ask you.
Sal, thank you.
Because I'm just trying to make it more real world for me.
Sure.
So,
You have to apply this to your business.
Yeah, so often, we are narrowing down 7 to 8 communities to 3 or 4 for a family.
Yep.
So
Good job.
We're then touring them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to think, we kind of recap,
Mm-hmm.
like, this was this community, here's the cost, these are what's included.
Mm-hmm.
Would I then kind of set them up when I'm laying it out for them as my most expensive middle choice to kind of lead them into this sucker choice?
Well, yeah, that's like, let's say you have your top 3 favorite places, because you can tell who likes what. And then you have budget constraints, which I know you guys deal with a lot. So it's almost like you could have, 18 different variations if you have 3 options and 3 payment choices for each, if you guys do payment choices or if they have anything. So is it just like each facility is its own monthly payment and there's no adjustment to that? Yeah. Okay. I would present them most expensive that they like the most to least expensive that they like the most. I would just kind of do it that way. And then I would present it in that fashion. Okay. Yeah. Thank God you don't have to sell payments or anything. Yeah. It's just they're going to buy the facility and they'll have 1 monthly payment. Okay. What else? Who else could use something like this in their business? Do you do this with ADT?
Yeah, I typically present at least 2 different options. Try to do 3. It's not always applicable.
Mm-hmm.
It's generally like alarm cameras together, just alarm, and I'll try to throw a third one. It's like, all right, here's a big beefy alarm, and here's kind of bare bones that'll get you an extra discount.
Okay. So
I think at least that's kind of my option to do. So the sucker's choice thing is good, better, best.
Good, better, best. That's another way to say it. Be really careful with the options you present, is you may sell yourself out of making any money, because sometimes we go, well, here's the bare bones, right? You use that term. Here's the bare bones one. I'm not going to sell anybody a bare bones anything, because that's not who you came to. I'm not that guy. So, gosh, it was an insurance agent not long ago. She asked me for some help, and she would write single line autos because that's the bare bones that she could do to try to get the client. But after she wrote that single auto payment to get them off the lot with their car, everybody canceled, because you're not going to retain any business with 1 auto. You have to write the whole family. You have to write you have to home, all the autos, life insurance, everything. That's how you retain a client, okay? So when we start working for a client, we might go, well, hey, let's just be the cheapest and get our foot in the door. Well, those are going to be the wrong types of clients for you, and often they're going to be the worst kind. What we want to do is present them with the options that we feel are going to be best for them and sell those. Don't give them the cheapest, give them the best that you know that you can give them. And don't ever be afraid of giving them the big, beefy, hey, all these security cameras and servers and all that stuff. Start with that one. If you want protection, we're going to give you protection. So don't sell yourself out of being successful by trying to think that they're payment sensitive. What else? What's another way to do it? Anybody else got one?
I will say in my business, it's kind of hard. It's like the pricing.
Yep.
So it's like to take and do a separate choice in a sense, like that would be a hard one in my line of field. So how would you go about that?
Well, we just talked about potentially writing a contract and putting down a retainer.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would start with an expensive retainer, a moderate retainer, and no retainer, but you're running the risk of paying more per hour when you do get me, because I charge based on, like airlines. The busier I am, the higher price I get.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm busy, you're not getting the $25 Michelle Meek per hour. You're getting the $100 Michelle Meek per hour. Because if I'm taking your business, I'm taking away from somebody else that I could help who would pay more. So I would find 3 ways to do it. It's like, hey, these are the 3 options. This is how we do it. You can retain me. It's a one flat fee. This is going to take care of everything. This one just gets you started, and we'll subtract hours against it, but you're locking in a billing rate. And then the last one would be, hey, this is be the hour when you come back to me. If I can get to you, it's going to adjust based on how busy I am. That's how I would do it.
That money, girl.
Yeah, don't devalue yourself. Everybody, that's all of our problems. It's not a unique to you, it's everyone. We devalue ourselves because we're trying to get to the end of the transaction. We believe in the product and the service for somebody, and we're just trying to get it there, but they have to pay for it, or else you don't need to be doing it. We don't work for free.
That's my hardest problem too, because I can do what I do, so I don't see the value or the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like trying to twist my mindset of like, if I was a client, like learning, that's one thing that I'm going to start doing is learning for myself, is training my mind. If I was a client, what would I be willing and wanting to pay?
Yep. And let me tell you, if it's a prom dress or a wedding dress, they will pay whatever you want. Right? Because they're
That's why I specialize in that, because
yeah.
I get less complaints and less irritation
Yep.
by that, because I was just talking with my mom about this, than the everyday stuff. They nit and pick and everything else on the everyday stuff.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep.
And then I'm wasting my time and everything for money that I could be grabbing over here on small tasks.
Yeah. And so remember, you're valuable. Your skills are valuable. What you offer is valuable. Don't go to the bare bones, and if they want that, that's not you. Let them go to the other person who's going to be out of business. Drive your competitors out of business and send them the cheaper clients. It works. All right, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different ways to overcome objections over the last 3 classes. I hope that you guys can get 1 or 2 of them and use them really, really well. That's my hope. You don't have to be a master at all these, but I do encourage you to try them throughout the day. Don't practice with your client in the engagement because you're going to be too nervous. Practice at home. If your husband does something that makes you upset, or your wife, completely understand how you feel. A lot of my wives have felt the same way. All right, I'm just kidding. There we go. Okay, so real quick, we're going to do these. What time is it? 11:05? Is that right, guys? My watch is always fast. 11:07? Okay. All right, so this is one for the car business. A lot of you all won't know this. You may have said it and don't even realize you said it. If somebody comes in and you're going to trade in a vehicle and you owe 20 grand and the vehicle's worth 12, people will ask you, y'all going to pay off my car? And I get this always with big pickup trucks that have been lifted and jacked, so I always like that. Because you tend to lower the value on a vehicle for most dealerships if you do that, even though you're spending money on the car. So, y'all going to pay off Red Beauty here? Is that an objection? Can be, depending on how you answer it, right? Now, is that question consequential? Yes. Is it emotional? Not really. It can be, depending on how you answer it, right? So, one of the things to progress them, Yeah, absolutely we pay off your car. You might have some negative equity, and we'll just roll that into the purchase of your next vehicle. I'm not telling you that, well, I can't pay it off. I'm not going to say no. We never say no. We say yes, but here's how. Yes, we'll go to the next step. Here's how we do it. Okay? This is one from mortgage brokers. I saw Rocket offering a better rate. Would that be an objection? Okay, let's just say your competitor's doing something for cheaper. Is that an objection? Yeah?
It can be if you spend a bunch of time with them and then they go to the other place because they feel like it's a better rate.
Okay. So let's say this person never actually sat down and talked to this company. They just saw an advertised rate. Now, what you're working with them on is a tailored rate. I hate to, sorry for the pun, a seamstress rate, or the right rate for them based on whatever they need. Well, it's not really an objection until you know that you're actually priced higher based on a similar quality thing. You say, absolutely. So help me understand, why did you start with us? Why did you start with me? If you know that Rocket was offering that. Have you talked to Rocket? What did they say?
Maybe because they have a relationship in a sense with you, so they want to value what
Okay.
you pay, which is
Yeah.
really better.
Completely understand. Thank you for sharing that with me. I think what you'll find, and what a lot of my clients have found, is those introductory rates are not going to be based on someone with a credit score of 620 who is financing 100% of the property and using a USDA loan, right? Because all those things, the loan to value, your score, the collateral, they all play into a decision. So be able to discern, hey, completely understand, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I think what you will find, what most people find, is advertised rates are not the rate that they're going to sign up for because they don't need or don't qualify. So tweak that one. And we'll do this for just a second, and then we're going to end with Warren Buffett, which is fun. All right, Ms. Miles, pick an objection. Any objection?
Do not want the commitment of a contract or agreement.
Was that yours?
Probably.
Yeah, okay. So don't want the commitment of a contract or an agreement. How would we overcome that?
Even when it's free.
Even when it's free. So how would we overcome that? What's our first step? Empathy. All right. So give me some empathy statements. What's the easiest one?
I definitely understand.
Completely understand. Definitely understand. Thank you for sharing that with me. Validate what they're saying, because what they're saying is an emotion. Okay? We don't speak in facts, we speak in emotion. So, hey, thank you so much for understanding. I appreciate that. Okay, what's the next step?
You said feel found of someone else that was in that same situation. You know, I understand your hesitation of signing a contract. Often people have found that it is really convenient because they are then have their spot reserved or.
Beautiful. Yeah, great. So what you did was you explained that other people choose to take that next step. Right? Other people like you in your situation are taking this next step and they're benefiting from it. And you can also tell a personal story about when somebody didn't. You got a bunch of those stories?
Oh, yeah, I got a lot.
Okay, hey, I'm sorry you didn't sign the contract with me. It didn't cost you anything. You could have used anyone, but we don't keep staff based on contracts that aren't signed.
Right.
Call somebody else. Have a great day. Don't call me. As a matter of fact, get your insurance claim, get it all fixed up, and then call me. We'll sign the contract. You won't have to go through this again. Can't help you today. What's another way? What's another way to overcome this objection? All right. I have been an effective facilitator. Okay, rejection and retreat. That's an easy one. Hey, completely understand it's not the right time for you. However, if you're not willing to sign a contract, could we at least do this for you?
I thought about that when you had it up there.
I don't know what this could be, right? But could we at least do this for you? As a matter of fact, you might want to make that free contract the free one and then have one that you charge for.
I thought about that, even do a sucker's choice on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
have a couple of different options, maybe have, you know, because we're looking into changing a few things on it.
There you go.
But there's something I can do with the rejection.
Yeah, yeah. And
Also.
for $100 a year, you get preference in line, or, if we need to rent extra equipment, and, or we can set you up on the free version, right? Okay, so Holly, pick another one.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to read that one.
Okay. Hey, I do the same thing. That's why I'm wearing glasses today, because last time I was having trouble.
And it's squiggly.
What you do is so unique and so needed. I guess what that means is I'm not buying today, but I love what you're doing. And if I don't press or continue to begin the sales process, and I don't press or continue to, facilitate the sales process. So, hey, what you do is so unique. Is this yours? Okay, I figured it was. Okay, so, no, it's all right. It's beautiful penmanship. I can't write cursive and or read it. So, okay. What you do is so unique, so needed.
So I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
don't press. I don't, when they
Okay.
say it's so unique or it's so needed, I haven't been impressed.
Is pressing.
I say that, and then I already do the rejection and then retreat thing. That's already working
Okay,
for me.
that's a good one.
You don't want the full thing right now.
Mhm.
If your family's all gathering for Mother's Day, I can come to you for a third of the price and just have it on film. When you want to edit, you can do it instead. So that's something that's been working lately.
Okay, so how do we make it better? So you said, I don't press, I don't want to be pushy. So what a lot of times people who end up on the passive end of the scale use those terms. Would you say you're a little passive?
Well, that really wasn't. It's more like in networking when people say,
Right.
I'm not putting them on the spot when I'm networking. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's so many people that say what I do is unique and needed.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I thank that for, recognizing.
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I don't say, well, let's sit down and see how I could do, who's coming up at your, you know what I mean? Like that's.
So how would you convert someone telling you that what you do is needed and important to a referral? Because you're not trying to close, right?
Right.
But you're trying to get them to the next step in a sales process, which is everyone you meet should be a referral source for you.
Right. I
Okay.
probably could say,
Because I know what you said was, I know you don't need it right now. Don't ever, don't say, I know you don't need it. Say, you do need it. You always need it. You will always need this, because it's one of the full things. It's one of the things that you're going to do. You're going to die, folks. I love y'all. Well, one day we're going to be dancing together at the pearly gates, hopefully.
The thing is, I know you maybe don't have the funds now, is what really the thing.
Okay.
You may not have the funds now, and because even with the second choice.
But do you know that? Do you know that they don't have the funds? You're making a lot of assumptions on why somebody can't buy your product.
Well, yeah, sounds like it right now.
Okay. Okay, so this is why we do this. This is a love conversation. I want you to know.
People say you have financing because they have led me to believe it's too high.
No, we just didn't build enough value. And for you, it's even tougher because you have a new to market product. Yours is super, because no one else has ever bought anything like what you have.
Right.
But do they have the money? Absolutely they have the money.
That's true, they do.
Where do they have the money? Where do they have the money? Huh?
Insurance.
Okay, so if you got life insurance, you can take a cash valuation against your life to pay for your end of life ceremony. Okay, what's another one? Where do we have money? 401k. Where's another place we have money? Savings. What's another place we have money?
Equity in your house.
Equity in your house. What's another place we have money? You can take loans against stock and not pay, you'll pay just interest back and you're not going to get taxed on it. Okay? There's a million places where somebody who values your product can get the money. We never say, I know you don't have the money right now, because they always have the money. The key is do we set them up with the options? Here's what a lot of people are doing. You have a $400,000 whole life policy. Take a small amount from that and use it towards what it's going to be going for anyway, which is my end of life burial needs. We're just paying it in advance. Okay? So, but in the scenario where you're networking, I would say, if they say, oh, this is so needed, this is so great, I love what you're doing. Great. Who do you know that I can talk to about this? And then don't say a word, because the first person to talk loses. Who do you know that I can introduce myself to? Who do you know that might be right for an introduction like this? Who do you know? It's one of my favorite questions in real estate. Who do you know that's going to be buying or selling a property in the next 6 months? I'd love to introduce myself.
I think we're all like that in networking too.
Yep.
It's a little more packed. We try not to put the pressure on our friends.
It's better in a one-to-one too when you do
We
that,
need to ask for those, you know.
because that's what we're here for.
Got anybody you can hook me up with? Like,
I love to network because a lot of my friends are in these rooms, right?
Yep.
But we're here for money.
Yep.
This is our business, right?
Yeah, thanks.
I don't like change too
Ooh.
much.
Oh my God, this is such a good one. Who will use this one? This is yours? Can you talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of times people will tell you all of their issues with their payroll provider, everything that is wrong. You have it, the price matches up and everything else, and then it's one of those, I just don't like change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, learning a new system, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter that you're importing their prior wages, like you can do all of the different steps to make it as easy as possible. It's just that change piece.
Yep. Okay, so remember we were talking about cost versus value? So here we are. The can I do it? Yes, I can do it, but it has to be value added because I have a lot of effort to switch out these things. Okay, so we have to work on maybe making it seem like it's less effort, and maybe showing the benefit in dollars and cents in different ways other than effort. Right? We have to quantify things. So, okay.
Do you have like a team that specializes in
Yes.
And implementation and all that?
We have a team that's all they do.
And I think it's just more of a lot of times like the business owner and that person is good with making the change and sees the value, and then you hit the administrative person that, you know, even though they complain about all these issues, doesn't want to change.
Oh, okay. And that's even better. It's almost like having a gatekeeper who you've already talked to the decision maker, but the gatekeeper's the frustrated one. And then this boss doesn't want to upset the apple cart because, let's just use, Bert has been here for 30 years and he keeps the place running like a top. But, we're also, when we're green, we're growing, when we're ripe, we're rotten, right?
Also complain nonstop about
Yeah.
everything.
Yep. So there's people just like that. They'll complain about everything and never want to change anything, right? We know those people. So how would we overcome this objection? What's the first step? What's the second step? Clarify, right? Who said clarify? Nice job. And then, so how are we going to, what questions would we ask to clarify?
Yeah, understanding what is your hesitation on the change? What are you worried about? What
Okay.
concerns do you have?
Right, don't use the word worried. I love the word concern. Substitute the word hesitation.
Okay.
So we're going to use, you don't use worry. There's no worries here. You can't worry with me. We're the best. You have no worries. I take all the worries. What's your hesitation? Okay, so, they say it's implementing, right? And you say, okay, help me understand a little bit about what the process of implementing this looks like for you guys. And then they're going to tell you all the things that they're, it's Bert, right? The old curmudgeon. Like, well, Bert's really not into it. Okay, so let's ask 3 questions. We got 1, so tell me about. What's another question? What's another question that we could, open-ended question that we could ask that's persuasive here?
How could we make it smooth?
How could we make it smooth? That's a great one. What's another one?
Talking about like if you didn't have the problems that you currently have with your system, how could
That's a consequence question. That's great. If we don't fix this today, what's going to happen? Right? Tell me about all the negative things. Here's another one. What prompted you to take this meeting if you weren't interested in the effort of a switch?
I like that, because then you're acknowledging it, that we spent how long kind of getting to this point,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're just going to stop.
Right. And they're going to, it reminds them of all the things that they hate about their current system. So you're asking them, detail for me the challenges that you have currently. Detail for me the challenges you will have if you switch. I can make one sound terrible and make one sound really easy.
or when we started this process, I was under the impression.
Yeah, that's great. So that's great. So use that as a yes question. Hey, I was under the impression when we started, because you used the term we, right? You didn't say, when I sat down with you, because that's like, hey, you're wasting my time.
Right.
You don't say I, you say we, because we're together. We're together in solving your problem. So, hey, when we started this process, you said that you were frustrated with the cost associated with your payroll system. Is that still correct? Yes and yes. Okay. Do you foresee those costs going down? Okay. No? Okay. And tell me, how much do you feel like you're overspending with your current provider based on the service that you're getting? Okay. Well, then we get them to quantify their value or the value of switching to you. And be like, hey, for the headache of X amount of dollars every month, you're overpaying for something that's not working for you. I think what we need to do is get Bert on board, because it's always a detractor, right? Who's your early adopters and who's your detractors? One of the things you'd be looking for in yours is who's the detractors in the organization. And then I would make them your friends. Okay, so if you think Bert's going to be the guy, whatever Bert loves, if he loves whiskey or coffee or salt-cured meats, me and Bert are going to be the besties. Because I want to identify the person who's going to object. And then we're going to build a relationship. And he'll go, it's a pain in the ass, but she's really sweet. Okay, fine.
And that's usually a person that doesn't have time for the meeting.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, because they don't want to make time. Because they don't see the value, right? Okay. So, guys, it is 11:25, and we got a hard stop. So, this is one thing I saw this when I was 17. And Warren Buffett has been saying the same thing for 50 years. He's like 95 or something. His partner at Berkshire Hathaway just died. His name was Charlie Munger at 93. And this guy said this. I saw this when I was a kid, and I thought this was one of the most brilliant things that I've ever heard. And so I want to share it with you. Everything that we've learned in this class is communications. It's communications, right? Very basic. We're just kind of breaking it down to one subset of communication. And we hit on a lot of things. We hit on body language. We hit on narcissism. We hit on how to ask leading questions, on yes questions, on open-ended questions, how to keep a conversation going, how to make other people feel comfortable. We talked about a lot of stuff in 4.5 hours, okay? But it's all communication. Don't stop working on your communication skills, because as salespeople, that's the difference between having a great job and really enjoying your life and not. That's between making a lot of money and not. It's all communication.
Right now, I would pay $100,000 for 10% of the future earnings pay. Oh, anybody want to see me after this? It's over.
And there's people who do that, by the way.
If that's true, you're $1 million asset right now, right? If 10% is worth $100,000, you could improve the value, many of you, and I certainly could have when I got out. Just in terms of learning communication skills, it's not something that's not. I actually went to a nail marketing course later on in terms of public speaking, but if you improve your value 50% by having better communication skills, that's it's another $500,000, and in terms of capital value. See me after the class, and I'll pay you.
So does everybody get that? Your communication skills increase your worth to your client, to yourself, to your paycheck, to the company. It's one of the easiest things to learn as far as spending time in it, because none of these concepts are too hard. They're not going to break your brain. We're not learning quantum mathematics. But it's hard to implement. That's where where the rubber meets the road is when it's tough. So take these models, take the systems, and just use them in everyday life. And you'll find that you have so much more success in everyday conversations, in your relationships, in your work. And I hope that this benefits you all, and you all make a lot more money with it. So thank you all for the class. Yep. Hey! See me after class, Mr. Meek. Oh.
You haven't done the door prize.
We got a door prize.
Where is?
Is that really?
Hey, good morning.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah. I just turned it off.
That's yours.
No.
That's yours.
You don't need to give that to me.
That was a gift for
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Everybody say thank you to David. Yeah.
I should have done that a little more. As a thank you gift for his effort, we got something that he wanted.
A clicker.
I'm going to put my camera on. So
hope so.
I didn't expect any less. A lot of great value. Show Ken the appreciation by supporting him on social. He's very active. You can promote his businesses, share his